The situation here is we have another 12 members to speak, and by 6 o'clock this has to conclude. So mathematically I am very poor, but I think 5 minutes each would suffice. Supriya Sule ji.
This debate, which has been an interesting debate, because from our side people are talking on the finance bill, but the two honorable members from the Treasury have only tried to explain to us about what corruption has happened and how they are going to react to it. It's actually surprising that they have conveniently forgot the history and the continuous amount of work that several finance ministers have done for decades before. I just would like to remind them that 1991 was really the first time the economy opened up under the leadership as the finance minister of Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, under the leadership of Narasimha Rao ji, and that was really the game changer of India's economy. I was listening to Dr. Jaiswal when he was speaking. It was a very interesting comment that he made about several allegations that people, I'd just like to remind him and Mr. Dubey, who both spoke except a lot about PMLA, just a gentle reminder. They have not taken the high morality of only eradication corruption from this country. Just a gentle reminder to both of them, very humbly, sir, that PMLA was first brought in by our government, not by their government. And we were all a part of this house. And I just would like to, I don't want to make it personal, but I do remember the speeches that all of them had made. So I think this bill, let's stick to why we are all here. And clearly the markets haven't realized. They keep talking about, I think in the last 5 years, this government, the markets were really booming. So that was really a big plus point for them. But I'd like to gently remind them that this time when the budget was happening here, the whole day and the week after that, the entire market had collapsed. And that shows that this is not a very flattering budget. It is a signal to this government that it's not as good as they are thinking in a very insulated manner here. I would like to quote, because the Honorable FM in her speech, in her reply said that when there was, we were all saying that the numbers were varying in the budget and in the appropriation bill. She said the economic survey is at arm's length. I'm not sure what this arm is, because I was under the impression with my little financial knowledge that the finance ministry's arm only makes the economic survey. Yes. So I really don't know how the economic survey can be at an arm's length. Another point which they talked about is the high morality. They really want to make a change and clean up the system, which I am very happy and we welcome it. I think the whole house would want this change. I would like to ask one pointed question to the Honorable Finance Minister, that the ILFS, when there's a whistleblower which was nearly put in jail, so when here somebody is contributing to improve the situation, and ILFS is nobody's personal property, sir. It is owned by government, by common man. So when we're making all these tax reforms and clearing the system, then what is this government going to do? Because that person is may not be in jail now, but the charges are not completely dropped. So you have to make sure that there is a whistleblower system where they're completely safe and it's not misused by any government. It doesn't matter whether they're sitting on this side or that side. They're talking about high morality of several things, and a lot of allegations were thrown on our side of the government. I'd just humbly like to ask this government that the Panama Papers, you've seen Mr. Cameron resigned for it. Mr. Nawaz Sharif, our neighbor, who we are having so many challenges, nobody wants to talk peace with them. But they also had to go to jail. So what is this government doing? Considering you're looking at cleaning up the system, I'm not sure those documents, I'm not making any allegations. If they could kindly see what they are doing about the Panama Papers. Sir, I would like to in short explain a point which you said. I'd just like to quickly reiterate that the cess and the tax, the cess is something which we all know is central government keeps, tax is what you share. But in this government, whatever little knowledge that we are getting, and getting it even from the media and reading papers and reports, that the health cess and education cess, there seems to be a jumble there, sir, which point that you made. When there is so much money lying around, why is it not getting utilized? So I'd even like to point out the point of CAMPA and ESFO. Here we are all struggling for money in our constituencies. It doesn't matter which side you're sitting on, for connectivity. So why is this money not getting utilized? Is the same point, sir, when you spoke about. I'd like to reiterate and add a pointed question that are you keeping this money only to manage the fiscal deficit, or what is it? Why aren't you giving it to the states, and why is it not going where it is? So I would like to second Mr. Mehtabji to have more clarification on this. Another quick point is about SEBI and income tax. There are several amendments, sir. And in this, A normal tax, I remember Sri Chidambaram ji was the finance minister that time. That was the first time we brought direct tax code which was brought by the UPA, just to simplify tax. Like GST, as much as credit they would like to take, is our bill. We are happy, we supported it wholeheartedly when this government brought it. But now there's another committee, and I'd like to quote Yashwant Sinha ji, because I think he was the head of the committee then, when he talked about simplifying tax code. So now this government has another committee. Now, what has the old report done? So Yashwant Sinha ji's work is going to go down the drain. So why are we not looking at simplifying taxes instead of keep changing? Because unless the direct tax code comes, which was a UPA, and we don't want so many compliances. This government talks about maximum governance and minimum government. In that case, if you complicate taxes, bring in so many amendments, how is it going to work? And the IO and the AO officers, they are just going to all get confused, and people are actually harassed several times. So I would urge this government to reconsider. Even I know they don't like a lot of things UPA did, but there are a lot of good things that they were done in that decade. So if instead of wasting time in doing one more committee, why not relook at Yashwant Sinha ji's committee? It may help. The NBFCs and the new regulator, it's a welcome step. I don't think anybody objects to it, but justice delayed is justice denied. 6 years they've been in power. Why have they not looked at all this? So I would like to urge the government that, okay, now you're cleaning up, it starts today, but what happens to the millions of people who have got affected? What are they going to do about all that? So they need to give us a clear answer, and the RBI regulator, so the NFRA already does this. So then will there be a conflict between RBI powers and NFRA powers? So there has to be more clarity from this government how they are going to handle this. Mehtabji, you talked about corporate tax. I have a slightly different view about the high tax. If the rich are getting taxed, I'm not objecting to it at all. I'm a little socialist in this point of view. So I think this debate is about disagreement, but I'd like to reiterate, because I remember the Honorable Finance Minister. Sorry? I'm not yielding.
Please.
The 25%, I still remember Arun Jaitley ji, we were all in this house in 2014 budget, clearly talked about a flat rate of 25% across the board. And I'm with you in this, that that's a commitment that this government has made. It's not about rich and poor, it's about generating wealth and giving back to our people for a nation building. So if that flat 25% commitment is taken, would be wonderful. I would just like to make two short points with Mr. Jaiswal made in 30 seconds, sir. Mr. Jaiswal talked very highly about this government's performance. There are two clarifications I would like to ask the minister to give on behalf, because the speakers have spoken. That the media says, reports say that 2 lakh people have left this country who are high net worth individuals in last 5 years. Is that true? If it is true, why are these high individual networks leaving this country, and how are we going to stop them? Not just about taxes, but even the talent. And second, Dr. Jaiswal talked about rate of interest, which is coming, and the collections are wonderful. It all sounds great, but the GST collections are anyway down. The rate of interest of delayed refunds are at 12 to 18%. When the government gives it back to us, it is at 6%. So I don't know which numbers that they were talking about. You can't look at the whole finance bill in isolation. It has to be looked at holistically in the larger interest to make our economy grow, which unfortunately is slowing. So I'd just like to finish by talking about a saying of Benjamin Franklin, who's one of the founding fathers of USA. In this world, nothing is said to be certain except death and taxes. So I think I would urge this government to put all the tax proposals, simplify them, make life easier. And I'm sure in India's growth, if taxes are easier like global, India can be 5 trillion. Why? We will support them if it's in the interest of making a 10 trillion. It's always a contribution that every day does, and tax plays a huge role in India's growth. So I would, let's be a progressive country, a pragmatic country, and build a good nation together. Thank you.
Thank you. Srinivas.